Hey there. Well, today I come down along the driveway here. I'm taking a look at root suckers and seedlings that have come up, and also taking a look at my trees. Now, the reason why I wanted to shoot this video is somebody had asked a question about taking starts, and the individual stated in their questioning and comments that they had two large pawpaw trees out behind their house with a bunch of small ones. And they had stated that their aunt wanted starts. Well, chances are those little trees that he has are root suckers. Now, depends on how close those trees are. Now, if I was in his shoes and if they were fairly close, I would go to the outer side of each tree to collect those root suckers. And the reason being is you don't want to take root suckers from that same tree. If you take root suckers from the same tree, you plant them out there, they'll become individual trees, they'll grow, they'll look good. Later on, they'll start to flower. You're going to be excited thinking you're going to get some fruit out of them, and it don't happen because root suckers from the same tree do not have the ability to pollinate one another. So, like this scenario that I have, I I don't have to worry so much about that because the trees are so far apart as of right now. Now, when them pawpaws get to really growing, and you get a good sized pawpaw tree, I wouldn't believe it's beyond the realm of possibility 15 to 20 feet away from that tree that root suckers come up because those root fibers will keep growing outward. And that's just the thing that you got to be careful with root suckers. Like this tree right here, I would go to the outside, and I would go to the outside of the other tree, because the other tree, its root suckers, if they start coming into each other, in between the two trees, depending on how close the trees are, you're not for sure which way and which root sucker goes to which tree unless you're willing to get down in there and take a look at that lateral root that's going out from that tree. You can identify it. But, excuse me, that being said, now these two trees right here has been producing root suckers, and I've been digging up root suckers around them and transplanting them. And when I do that, they become individual trees, and I grafted into those individuals. Some of them I haven't yet, but I will. That particular tree right there, I dug up some root suckers, and the root suckers themselves, one of them is almost 4 foot tall. Dug it up, stuck it into a 3 gallon root trapper pot. I like the root trapper pots. They help in producing a lot of root fiber inside that pot. And next year I intend to graft those trees. I've dug up 4 of them this year, and anywhere from 3 foot tall to almost 4 foot tall is how big all 4 of those trees are. Now, as you notice, this tree right here, I have a root sucker that is fenced off. Back last fall, I fenced it off. Prior to fencing it off, I went in between the two trees, I chunked down into the ground, and I removed probably about 2 inches of the lateral root coming from the mother tree to that root sucker. Now that root sucker is an individual tree, and that root sucker will grow right where it's at as an individual tree. But it will never pollinate that tree. And the reason why I have it fenced off is because here before too long, probably within the next week or two, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to snip into it, and I'm going to graft a piece of scion wood on it. And when I do that, if it takes, it's an individual variety, and once it gets big enough and starts to flower, it'll be able to pollinate the mother tree. Likewise, the mother tree will also be able to pollinate that individual because I've made that an individual. As you notice, I walked up on the bank there. There's a pawpaw root sucker coming up from that tree over there, and I can't remember whether or not if I had done the separation of the lateral root from that mother tree. I don't recall doing that. And I have a few of them over here that I've done the same thing with a pawpaw stump, and man, that bank over there is loaded with root suckers. That being said, I wanted to share this because the individual was asking about getting starts, and that's one way of getting starts. But you got to be careful about what you're digging up. If I take root suckers from just one tree and I take them out back and I plant me a little orchard, I'm all tickled, they're taking off, they're growing, they get big enough, they start flowering. Oh boy, I'm going to get some fruit. Hate to bust anybody's bubble, but I don't think that's going to happen. So what I did is I dug up those root suckers, put them out back like that, knowing that they're not going to produce one another because the vast majority of the root suckers came from the tree over that way. Once they got established, I went in last year and I grafted all those trees. Now, last year when I did my grafting, I did come to find that the seedlings, they tended to take to the graft a little bit better. I got more percentage of seedlings that took the graft than I did root suckers. But the root suckers that I did graft into and then the ones that did take, they grew robustly. I mean, I got one down there right now. It was a root sucker, 3 grafts, and that thing's pushing 4.5, 5 foot tall now. And that's a lot of growth, you know, that the scion wood themselves has grown more than probably 2.5 to 3 foot as far as coming off that scion wood and growing up. That turned out to be a very successful graft, and I got quite a few of them out there that turned out to be successful grafts. The seedlings that I grafted last year, they're probably about 6 inches of growth. I have other root suckers out there that took to the graft, and I've got over a foot of growth off of the scion wood. 2 stems come out. Could only use 2 buds. But anyways, that being said, I hope that what I've just talked about helps the individual that posed the question about taking starts from the 2 trees that he has, or she. I don't know if it's a he or she, just an individual that questioned me. And I hope it works out. My name's Jim. If you like what you see, subscribe. Any comments or questions that you may have, I welcome. You all have a God bless day.